I'm Nathan, and today I'm your trainer. Not for your body, for your retirement number. Because everybody asks the same question sooner or later, am I on track? And the honest answer is that on track looks completely different at 40, at 50, and at 60. So, this video is a fitness test with 3 stations. At each one, I'll give you the actual checkpoint. How much a Canadian needs saved at that age to be on pace for a comfortable retirement at 65. And the math behind it, adjusted for the CPP and OAS checks that do part of the lifting for you. No shame at any station. If you're behind at 1, I'll show you the catch-up move that still works from exactly where you're standing. Grab some water. Station 1 is age 40. Quick warm-up before Station 1. If you've been reading American retirement advice, you've seen Fidelity's milestones. 3 times your salary by 40, 6 times by 50, 8 times by 60, 10 times by 67. Legitimate numbers. Also American. They assume you self-fund almost everything because Social Security replaces less than most people think. Canadian checkpoints are lower because 2 government checks do real work in the background. CPP and OAS. In 2026, maximum CPP at 65 is $1,507.65 per month. Average around $925. Maximum OAS for the July to September quarter is roughly $751.97. Averaged out, that's close to $20,000 per year of inflation-indexed income you don't have to self-fund. At max entitlement, closer to $27,000. That's why the Canadian checkpoint is lower at the same age. Don't import Fidelity's numbers and terrify yourself. Import the framework, subtract the floor. Here's how I derived what you're about to hear. FYI, I'm not pulling these multipliers from thin air. FP Canada's replacement ratio guidance suggests most Canadians target around 65% to 70% of pre-retirement income to keep their lifestyle roughly intact after they stop working. Take somebody earning $70,000 today, 65% replacement means about $45,500 per year in retirement. Subtract $20,000. That CPP and OAS will cover on average, and you're left with about $25,500 per year that your personal savings has to generate. Apply the 4% safe withdrawal rate, and that requires roughly $637,500 saved at 65. On a $70,000 salary, that's about 9 times. Roll it back to 60, assuming your money grows and you keep contributing, and the checkpoint lands around 5 to 6 times. Roll back to 50, and it's about 3 to 4 times. Roll back to 40, and it's about 1.5 to 2x. Those are the Canadian adjusted salary multipliers. They're honest. They label themselves as on pace for 65% replacement at 65. They are not an official standard. They are the derivation. Own the derivation, and no financial talking head can bully you with a scary headline number ever again. Speaking of scary headlines, you've probably seen the BMO survey that says Canadians think they need $1.7 million to retire. It's a good headline for selling advice. It's a terrible target for a normal Canadian earning a normal Canadian salary. The realistic checkpoints we're about to run through are the alternative to that number. Now, let's walk to Station 1. Station 1 is age 40. The checkpoint is 1.5 to 2 times your current salary saved. If you earn $70,000, that's $105,000 to $140,000. If you earn $100,000, that's $150,000 to $200,000. The test is simple. Add up your RRSP, your TFSA, any workplace pension buyout value, and any non-registered investments earmarked for retirement. Compared to that range, above the top of the range means you're ahead. Inside the range means you're on pace. Below the bottom means you have a gap. But you also have the single greatest asset in retirement planning, which is 25 years of compounding runway. Don't panic. Panic burns no calories. Here's your catch-up move at 40. Automate a contribution the day your paycheck hits and never look at it again. If your employer offers an RRSP match, capture 100% of it before you do anything else, because that is the only free money that exists in personal finance. Then push your total savings rate to 15% of gross income if you can, including the employer contribution. If you're starting from behind and you can only find $500 per month, that alone contributed steadily from 40 to 65 at a 6% average return, grows to roughly $347,000. That's on one modest contribution from one age with no heroics. If you can push it to $750 per month, you land closer to $520,000 by 65. If you can push it to $1,000 per month, closer to $694,000. Each extra $100 per month at 40 turns into roughly $69,000 by 65. That is the compounding leverage you have at Station 1 that a 55-year-old simply does not have. Time is doing most of the work. Your job at Station 1 is to not interrupt the machine. Towel off, next station. Station 2 is age 50. The checkpoint is 3 to 4 times your current salary. On a $70,000 income, that's $210,000 to $280,000. On $100,000, that's $300,000 to $400,000. The test is the same. Add up every account labeled retirement and compare it to the range. Now, here's the part nobody tells you honestly about Station 2. This is your best window. Not your last window, your best window. Most Canadians hit their peak earning years between 45 and 60. Kids are launching, the mortgage is smaller in real terms, and your RRSP contribution room is the biggest it has ever been because it's been accumulating since you started working. If you have $80,000 of unused RRSP room sitting there from years you couldn't max out, that room does not expire. It's ammunition. Your catch-up move at Station 2 is aggressive targeted contribution. $1,200 per month from age 50 to 65 at a 6% average return grows to roughly $349,000. Add that to whatever you already have, and Station 3 stops looking terrifying very quickly. If you can push it to $1,500 or $1,800 per month, during your highest earning years, you compound faster and buy yourself the option to retire on time. There's also a second lever specific to couples at 50, which is the spousal RRSP. If one partner earns significantly more than the other, contributing to a spousal RRSP shifts future retirement income to the lower earning spouse, which can meaningfully cut your combined tax bill in retirement and reduce the OAS clawback exposure of the higher earning partner. That is a real dollar value win, not a tax nerd curiosity. The mistake at 50 is assuming it's too late. It is not too late. It is the exact moment when disciplined savings has the highest velocity per dollar because you have both the income to save and enough time for it to grow. Towel off. Next station? Station 3 is age 60. The checkpoint is 5 to 6 times your current salary. On $70,000, that's $350,000 to $420,000. On $100,000, that's $500,000 to $600,000. Compare and be honest with yourself. If you're inside the range, congratulations, the last 5 years become a glide path, not a scramble. If you're below the range at 60, we're going to talk about the honest levers you still have, and none of them involve panic. Lever 1, work 2 or 3 more years. Retiring at 67 instead of 65 does 3 things simultaneously. It gives your existing portfolio 2 more years of compounding, it removes 2 years of drawdown, and it gives you 2 more years of contributions. A modest portfolio can gain 20 to 25% in usable retirement value from that single decision. Lever 2, defer CPP and OAS. Every month you delay CPP past 65, your monthly payment increases by 0.7% up to age 70. That is a 42% permanent raise for waiting 5 years. Every month you delay OAS past 65 increases the payment by 0.6%, capping at a 36% boost at 70. Deferring both is like giving yourself a raise the government pays for indexed to inflation for the rest of your life. Lever 3, the spending side. Every $1,000 per year you can trim from your projected retirement expenses is $25,000 less you need saved under the 4% rule. Refinancing debt, downsizing, or moving to a cheaper region are all legitimate moves at 60 that don't involve saving harder. They involve needing less. Lever 4, which most planners forget to mention. De-risk your portfolio deliberately in the last 5 years before retirement. Not because bonds are exciting, they aren't, but because a bad market in the 2 years around your retirement date can permanently damage your withdrawal math in a way you cannot recover from. That is called sequence of returns risk, and it is the single largest hidden threat at Station 3. Building a 2-year to 3-year cash and short bond cushion before you turn on the RRIF tap protects you from having to sell equities into a downturn during your first years of retirement. At Station 3, your job is not to sprint. Your job is to pick the 2 or 3 highest leverage moves and execute them cleanly. A quick adjustment before the cooldown, because these checkpoints assume a specific baseline. If you're planning retirement as a couple, your target changes because your household is going to collect 2 CPP checks and 2 OAS checks. Not one that effectively doubles the government floor to something like $35,000 to $40,000 per year at average entitlement, which means the personal savings each of you needs is proportionally lower per person. Some couples can hit 65% replacement on 4 times combined household income rather than the individual multipliers. Run the numbers on your combined situation, not your solo one. There's also pension income splitting to consider once you both turn 65, which can shift up to 50% of eligible pension income between spouses at tax time and lower your combined bracket meaningfully. Homeowner versus renter is the other big adjustment. If you own your home outright by 65, your required retirement income drops meaningfully because housing is the single largest line item for most Canadian households. That paid-off home is worth roughly $18,000 to $24,000 per year in avoided rent, depending on where you live. If you're going to be renting in retirement, and no shame in that, it's an increasingly common Canadian reality, you should aim for the higher end of every checkpoint I gave you today, and probably one multiplier notch above, because your fixed housing cost is going to rise with inflation for the rest of your life. Homeowners also have a fallback. Most renters don't. Home equity can be tapped through downsizing, a reverse mortgage, or a HELOC if the plan goes sideways. Renters need a bigger portfolio precisely because they don't have that shock absorber. Cool down. Here are the 3 checkpoints written cleanly so you can pause the video and screenshot this. At age 40, aim for 1.5 to 2 times your salary saved. At age 50, aim for 3 to 4 times. At age 60, aim for 5 to 6 times. That path puts you on pace for roughly 65% income replacement at age 65 when you factor in CPP and OAS. If you're behind at 40, automate and capture your employer match. If you're behind at 50, weaponize your peak earning years and use unused RRSP room. If you're behind at 60, work a little longer, defer CPP and OAS, trim the spending side, and de-risk the last stretch. Couples adjust downward per person, renters adjust upward. And if all you take from today's session is one thing, take this. You do not need to hit the American 10 times number to retire well in Canada. You need to hit the Canadian checkpoint for your age, keep the machine running, and let CPP and OAS do the work they were designed to do. That's the workout. Hydrate. I'll see you at the next station.